Okay, so just sit yourself on your lift and come up into cross-legged position. Just something that's going to give you a little bit of levelness to get started with. Or just adjust your cushion if you've got one of these, the beanbag cushions. Hold onto your knees and lift and open the chest. Just draw your breath in through your nose and out through your nose. Enjoy the feeling of inflated lungs. Just let your eyes settle on the floor. Look at something that doesn't move. And then release your knees. Bring your hands into Namaste. Press your palms firmly together. And then with an exhalation, allow your eyes to gently close. So just listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Long, slow, deep, deliberate breaths. With each inhalation, observe that the body draws in energy from the breath. If there are no heart conditions or high blood pressure, then hold the breath at the top of the in-breath. Just a gentle suspension of the breath. It's not a grip, it's just suspending the breath so that the body ingests more of the oxygen. It's normal inhalations, normal inhalations, normal exhalations. Just holding the breath at the top. Just for a few seconds, and then bring the breath back to normal. Draw your chin down to meet your chest, no longer retaining the breath. Spend a moment to seek to generate a genuine, heartfelt sense of gratitude for something or someone. Hold on to And then release the backs of your hands down towards your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, just allow your eyes to softly open. Hold on to your knees, lift and open the chest, drive the spine upwards. And then just remember the kind of afternoon tea, the cake stand, lift up into the chest, drawing the back chest downwards. Take a good, strong, deep inhalation, and then turn to the right side. So we draw the sandwiches across first, then the cakes, then the petit fours. So turn from the bottom layer of the stand to start off with, so that the belly button points towards the right knee and beyond it. And then turn the lower ribs, cakes, and then the petit fours, the shoulders. And then come back to the center. Hold onto your knees, lift and open your chest, spine upwards. And then turn to the left, again taking the sandwiches around first. Sandwiches, then the cakes, then the petit fours. But turn in the abdomen first of all, just for a more thorough turning action of the spine. And then come back to the center. Just come off your lift and then come down onto your knees. Just have a little wriggle about. Just come forward so that you get space in the back of your knee, and then get your hand into the back of the knee, and then draw the calf flesh away from the back of the knee, and then roll it out to the sides as you sit back on your heels. So make sure that you're in a good kind of straight line with your mat. Lift and open the chest. So drive the spine upwards, hit the outer thighs, inward, activate that tube of toothpaste action. So the outer thighs suck in, and then you can lengthen up into the front chest. Come forward, keeping the front chest long. Or you can do supta, baddha, konasana if you're not coming forward. Use a block under your head if you're not coming all the way down. But either way, work evenly with both arms. Work to maintain the lift of the chest, and then finally bring the head down. Breathe in deeply and evenly, trying to maintain the contact between the seat bones and your heels. Just pressing the forehead down into the floor, drawing the skin of the forehead down towards the bridge of the nose, just to create quietness in the brain. Just lift your head and then thread your left arm underneath your right armpit. Draw the shoulder down towards the floor, the head down towards the floor. Keep reaching evenly into both arms. And then turn the chest down to the floor, threading the needle. So the left arm, the palm is pointing up towards the ceiling. The right arm is actively engaged in Adho Mukha Virasana. And then reach your arms forwards, just come back into Adho Mukha Virasana. And then lift your head, press the left hand deeply into the floor, stretch the right arm out to the side, drawing that shoulder back down to the floor, bring your head down onto the floor, spread the palm of that left hand. Do the same with the right hand, and then rotate chest down to face the floor. So it opens up in the shoulder blade region. And then extend your arms away and come back into Adho Mukha Virasana. Making the action to extend the arms away from the shoulders, extend the armpits down into the hips. And come up onto your knees, spreading your fingers, turning your toes under, and then come up into Adho Mukha Svanasana. With bent knees to start off with, just feel how your body responds. Straighten your legs when you can. Tightening your kneecaps, pushing the fronts of the knees through to the backs of the knees. Activating the thigh muscle, turning the thigh muscles, the fronts of the thighs inwards, turning the fronts of the shins inwards, from the little toe side to the big toe side. Breathing evenly and deeply, listening to the sound of the breath. Spreading the toes, stamping the neck of the big toe into the floor, stretching out into the little toes. Stamp the little toes into the floor, and then suck the outer thighs inward so that you can lengthen into the spine. From holding you too long in the pose, then just release. If you can stay and maintain, then do. And then gently step your feet forwards, come up into a standing position. Get some blocks where you can reach them with your hands, and then set your legs up for uttanasana or half uttanasana. Bring the feet as wide apart as the mat, turning your toes in. Activate your kneecaps. Turn the thighs inwards. Suck the outer thighs inwards, stamp by stamping that little toe firmly down into the floor. Suck the outer thighs in, lift up. Now that action of sucking the outer thighs in can make you drop in the instep. So suck the outer thighs inwards, so the outer thighs in towards the inner thighs. But then you have to pick the inner knees up and draw the inner knees up towards the groin. Raise your arms, extend your arms up towards the ceiling. And then come forwards and hinge at the hips. Find the blocks. So be on fingertips. Turn the heels out a little bit more. Stamp the little toes into the floor. Press the neck of the big toe into the floor. Turn the shins inwards, knees inwards, the thighs inwards, the fronts of the thighs inwards, feeling that the backs of the thighs can broaden outwards. Stamp the little toes into the floor, suck the outer thighs in, project into the chest. If you can go down a little lower, then do. If you can reach the floor, then come all the way down to the floor, but not at the expense of rounding your back. It's all about this extension into the spine. So straight legs, tightening those kneecaps, turning the thighs inwards, projecting the chest forward. Breathing evenly and deeply listening to the sound of the breath. If you can reach down a little further, bend your elbows out to the side, keep the front chest long as you reach around the backs of your heels, backs of your ankles, and then draw your body in towards the legs. Breathing evenly and deeply listening to the sound of the breath. And then come back to the center point, extending the chin and the chest forwards. And bring your arms into your hips and then come up into a standing position, bending your knees on the way up if you need to. And then just stand in Tadasana. So the inner edge of your feet together, big toes touching, your heels touching. Lift and open the chest. And then raise your arms up, vrksasana. So the inner edge of the feet together, lifting and opening the chest, driving the arms up towards the ceiling. Breathing evenly and deeply, just feeling your energy settling around the somatic region, the abdomen. And then release your arms. Pull up your shorts on the left leg if you can. Spread the toes of the right foot, of the left foot. Spread the toes of both feet, and then lift and open the chest, really firming up the standing leg. So we can do vrksasana, the tree. So you can use something to help you to balance up into the thigh, and then just have your arms at the sides. Press the little toe side really firmly into the floor, that uttanasana action, and then suck the outer thigh into the inner thigh of the standing leg. Push the foot into that inner thigh of the standing leg, and then lengthen from the inner groin to the inner knee, then that lengthening here, and then squeeze the buttock bone forwards, and then raise your arms. Vrksasana arms if you can. I went out of ceiling height, so I have to just bring my hands a bit closer together, but shoulder width apart with the hands ideally. Keep that outer thigh sucking into the foot sucking into the thigh. Just looking at something that doesn't move. Breathing evenly and deeply. Into Tadasana. Spread your toes. Spread your toes deeply on the right foot, and then just, again, if you can, lift the shorts on your right leg, because skin on skin is better than on material, because otherwise you slide about on material. Spread your toes. Stamp the little toe of the right foot really firmly into the floor, so this outer thigh activates, drawing inwards. Lift the chest, and then bring the left leg up into the left foot, right up into the top of the right leg. And then go back to the toes before you raise your arms. Go back to the toes, pressing the little toe into the floor, sucking the outer thigh in, lengthening the inner groin to the inner knee of the bent leg, squeezing the bent leg buttock bone forwards, and then raise your arms. Sucking the outer thigh in. Just breathing evenly and deeply. Listen. Just using balances, if supports if you need to, like a wall or just a chair nearby, just to help you to balance. And then release your arms, come back into Tadasana. So just come back into Tadasana, lift and open the chest, drive your spine upwards. Just breathe evenly and deeply. Your arms out nice and wide, in towards your chest, and then step or jump the feet nice and wide. Turn your left toes in, your right leg and foot all the way out, and then bring the chest to face the front. Activate those legs. So in the way that we've been doing all week, pressing the little toe into the floor, sucking the outer thigh in. Pressing the little toe into the floor, sucking the outer thigh in, even though they're in different directions. Come down, find the shin. Keep those legs really firm. Active sandwiches, and then the cakes, and then the petit fours. Turning the chest as much as you can. Lengthening up into the top arm to keep the left arm, so to keep the bottom arm light on the shin. Reach up with the top hand, come back to the center, and then swap your feet around, turn your right toes in, left leg and foot all the way out. Again, activating those outer thighs. Keeping those out. So when we come down, this hip always wants to kind of push outwards. So when you come down, suck that hip, that thigh inwards, suck the thigh inwards so that you prevent that overaction of the hip. Turning the chest, the sandwiches, the cakes, and the petit fours. Just observe how your energy starts to transform a little. Come back to the center, bring your feet parallel, and then step or jump your feet back together, come back into Tadasana. So perhaps your energy starts to kind of even out a little. So we're going to do parivrtta trikonasana. If parivrtta trikonasana is going to be too strong for your back, then you can do just normal trikonasana again. So you can just do normal trikonasana as we just did it. Otherwise, we're going to do it from tadasana. So lift and open the chest. Bring your arms out nice and wide, and then jump or step your feet apart, stretch your arms out. Turn your left toes in steeply and then rotate all the way so that you bring the chest around to face the right leg. Pick up the heel of the back leg and turn that heel outwards. Stamp the little toes into the floor, suck the outer thighs in for stability. Lift up into the spine. And then bring the left hand over to the outside of the right foot. Turn the sandwiches, the cakes, and the petit fours reaching up. So you can always drop the top hand to turn the chest. Extend into the spine, suck those outer thighs inwards, lengthening into the spine. And then come back to the center. Just release your hands for a moment. Bring your breath back to a normal rhythm. So we normally go into parivrtta trikonasana from parivrtta. But the full pose is really when you come into it like we're doing now. So it's good to just try the different approaches, isn't it? Stretch your arms out, turn your right toes in steeply, and then rotate on the left foot. Pick up the heel and turn that back foot all the way out. Draw the outer thighs inwards. And then stretch the right hand over to the left side of the foot, to the little toe side of the foot. Keeping the legs really straight. Finding the floor, extending the spine. Sucking the outer thighs in, turning the sandwiches, the cakes, petit fours. And then come back to the center. Step or jump the feet back together. And then bring the breath back to a normal rhythm. Just observe the feeling of the breath. Listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. And then bring your feet hip width apart, turn your toes in, raise your arms up, hook the thumbs into the crease of the elbows, or just come halfway. Bringing your elbows just resting onto the tabletop. Otherwise, just hang down. So just come halfway if you're protecting your back. Otherwise, just hang down. And then release your hands down to the floor, bring your hands into your hips, and then come up into a standing position. And then just come down onto your back for supta baddha, just to rest out your spine, to rest out the hips. Just put blocks under the thighs if the hips are stiff. Just resting down into the floor, just allowing the body to relax for a moment. And then activate the feet, press the feet firmly together. And then those with stiff hips should feel that there's more compactness in the hips and it's easier to stay. So press the heels consciously together, press the little toes consciously together, drawing those outer thighs in towards the inner thighs. Broaden the abdomen to the abdominal walls. Just stroke the abdomen from the belly button out to the walls of the abdomen, just to get that feeling of broadening. Stretch your arms up, but keep the outer shoulder blade down as you raise your arms up, so that your shoulders stay planted. Hook the thumbs together and then splay the hands apart like you're going to do a kind of a butterfly silhouette. And then reach the arms along the floor away from your head. If there's stiffness in your shoulders, then put blocks underneath the hands, or a little support underneath your hands, a folded blanket or whatever you need. Just breathing evenly and deeply, listening to the sound of the breath. Swap the hook of the thumbs. Keep extending the arms out. Just observe how just hooking the thumbs differently really does feel different in the hands, in the fingers. So just observe it and adapt. And then just gently release your arms, just rest your hands on your lower ribs. Just resting into the floor for a moment. And then draw your knees together. Bring your knees together, your feet apart for a moment. Just rest out the hips. And then bring your feet back together. Hold your, interlock your fingers and hold on to the front of the right shin, just at the knee. Keep the left leg where it is for the moment. Just pull the knee in towards the chest. Flex the heel of that right leg. And then release, and then slide your hands down to the middle of the shin. And then draw the middle of the shin down into the body, up into the chest. And then release, and then slide your hands down to the bottom of the shin, and then draw the bottom of the shin down to the floor and up into the body. It's just a different way of really working the back and working the hip, and then gently release. Keep both feet together, both knees are bent, feet as close to the seat bones as you can. And then grip your hands around the front of the knee on the left leg. flexing the heel of that left leg. So pull the knee in towards the chest, holding at the top of the shin. Just breathing evenly and deeply listening to the sound of the breath. And release, then bring your hand down the middle of the shin and draw that shin down to the floor and upwards slightly. And then just notice that you kind of penetrate more deeply into the hip. And then slide your hand down to the bottom of the shin, draw the shin into the body, flexing that heel, breathing evenly and deeply. And then gently just release the leg and then just stretch both legs out, just in a kind of momentary shavasana. So let in the breathing evenly and deeply, just listening to the sound of the breath. And then grab hold of your knees again, just have a little rock from side to side, from top to bottom, just a gentle massage on the spine. And then just sit yourself up into the seated position. So just come into cross legs for a moment. So cross legs or half padmasana. Sit on a lift if you struggle to lift the chest. Just hold onto your knees, lift and open the chest, drawing your shoulders away from your ears. Draw the chin forwards and down for Jalandhara Bandha. Lift Mula Bandha, lifting the anal sphincter up towards the diaphragm region. And then breathe in from the bottom of the lungs to the top of the lungs, filling the jug with water. So you're allowing the breath to overflow into the legs and into the arms. Breathe in from the bottom of the lungs to the top of the lungs with the in-breath. And from the top of the lungs to the bottom of the lungs with the out-breath. Just observing the breath, the energy that we bring into the limbs from the breath. And then release Mula Bandha, release Jalandhara Bandha, and then just raise your head. So we're just going to finish off with a restorative pose, and this is really good. Ruth, you've got your neck and shoulders are stiff again, and this is really good way of kind of resting out the shoulder. So you need preferably an oblong bolster. If you haven't got an oblong bolster, then what you can use instead is a folded blanket. So get your blanket and then just fold it unfold it like a kind of a long bolster, like long blanket. Fold it down the middle, and then fold it in half, and then fold it in half again, and then you've got this kind of big kind of cushion. And then you're just going to come onto your side, and then you lengthen the armpit. You'll need a block for your head. Lengthen your armpit along, and then support that side, just the side ribs and the armpit chest. Bring the shoulder down onto the floor, and then the block just supports your head. Your knees stay, and then just rest down in that position. So the folded, there's the lift underneath your armpit chest, and then we're not going to stay for too long because we haven't got too long to stay, but maybe a couple of minutes. So just find a position in which, if there's stiffness in your shoulder and it's difficult to get your hand onto the floor, put a block underneath your hand, just so that you can just release. So no attempt to extend. Adjust if you feel uncomfortable. Just find your comfortable position. I'm not very comfortable. That's better. And then release. Just let the top arm rest on the ear. Breathing evenly, deeply listening to the sound of the breath. Just allow your body to release into the bolster and into the floor. Aiming to breathe evenly into both lungs. So through our practice this morning, we have been stretching out the body and hopefully bringing energy back into the body if the body was tired first thing. And then release the top arm. Just rest the top arm on the hip. Push the elbow into the floor that's connected to the floor, and then come up into a seated position And then just come on onto the other side, lengthen the ribs along the bolster, bring your shoulder down onto the floor, block for your head, keep your knees bent, and then lengthen your upper arm over your ear. You can always keep that arm just on the hip if you prefer, but to really open up the hips, the shoulders even, sorry, and the neck, it's good to bring that arm over your head. Just let the top arm relax and release. Using the support for that hand if you need it. Okay, when you're ready, just bring that top arm back, just resting that on the hip for a moment. Push your bottom elbow into the floor and then just lift yourself up. Just bring yourself back up into a seated position, and then just get your blanket for your head. Just unfold it so that it's more like a pillow kind of shape. And then just rest your head down. Bring yourself into a really good straight line right down the center of your mat. If you're wearing glasses, it's nice to take them off for shavasana. Just allow your body to release into the floor. Just listening to the sound of the breath as it enters and as it exits. Just allow the body to release the muscles of the arms and of the legs. Feel the energy rise into the top of the skin. Just the inhaling and exhaling to distribute that feeling of lightness evenly through the body. Up into the top of the head, into the tips of the fingers, the tips of the toes. And when you're ready to disturb yourself, just gently wriggle your toes, wriggle your fingers, bend your knees, and then bring your knees into your chest. Just have a little grounding massage on your back, just rocking from side to side, from top to bottom. And then very gently roll over onto your right side. Stay down for a breath or two. And then straighten out the top leg, come back up into a seated position. Just a final cross legs with your hands in the masti. Just a final spinal lift. Close your eyes, draw your breath in through your nose down into the abdomen. Be conscious of the energy that you have released through your practice, that gentle ebb of positive energy. And then draw your chin down to meet your chest. Spend a moment to seek to acknowledge the positive energy you've created inside. And then send some of that positive energy out into the world. And by sharing our positive energy comes back our way. And then gently release the backs of your hands down toward your knees, palms facing upwards. And as you raise your head, allow your eyes to softly open and the focus to softly come back. Thank you very much. Thank you. So hopefully you feel like you have just gently released your energy and yourself lots of good energy to put into your day. So thank you very much for joining me.